I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome everyone tonight. My name is Ann Clementi, the chairperson of the zoning board. Also want to welcome Mike McDonald from the building department, who'll be here with us tonight in the stead of Chuck Golden. We'll begin by reviewing the draft minutes of the previous meeting. That was for our meeting that was held on July 19th, 2021. Just two notes of correction. If we want to look on page 6, line 10, I believe it's like the 12th or 13th word in that sentence. It would be the. Just strike that W. So asked what the CRI rating. And then in line number 12, it refers to the zoning board. We strike the planning board. It's the zoning board then discuss the foot candle analysis. Given those two corrections, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
Thank you, Member Curran. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Approved with those two corrections. We'll review the agenda for tonight as posted on the town website. We'll begin by Hanford Lord Avenue. And then on the agenda, the second item of old business is North Troy Solar Atlas. We're going to strike that from the agenda. They will not be here tonight. We have 3 items of new business. 113 Flower Road, seeking a pool. Let's see if it's 111. And then it's 11 Clemshaw Avenue. That's seeking 4 variances for a structure. We have KFC, it's a sign variance. And then I don't think so, with pending was 697 Hoosick Road. No, okay. And then 208 Old Seek. No information.
No.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yep. So we have the 1 old business and 3 new business. Great. So we'll begin then with North Troy Solar. So, oh no, I'm sorry, of Hannaford Lord Avenue. I apologize. A representative would like to come and present the information that you have for the board tonight. Be happy to listen. Thank you.
Good evening, Walt Lippman, MJ Engineering, here representing the applicant Lord Avenue Properties LLC. We were here back on the July 19th meeting to present an update on the project. We had some good feedback. We provided comments, responses to the comments on July 29th. I just want to take a few moments just to go over them quickly here. First one was just regarding providing the appropriate amount of copies. Question came up about closing hours and the lights. The store is anticipated to be open from 6 to 11. At that time, they anticipate the parking lot lighting to go off, except for lighting that are near the building, because they will have cleaning and restocking employees there. So it's just closed to the public, but there will be workers during that time. Next item, the difference in foot candles between 3,000 and 5,000. We are proposing 4,000 K fixtures. Basically the color temperature and the lumen output. We did show that the 4,000 K provides 12,719 lumens, and the 3,000 K provides 12,279 lumens.
So why did you use the 3,000?
We used the 4,000.
But you compared it to the 3,000, so what?
That was just a question that came out. What is the difference in Kelvins. So basically, it's the color temperature. The higher the Kelvin, the more daylight it is. The lower the Kelvin, the more incandescent, more yellow it is. And 4,000 K seems to be a typical standard for commercial lighting.
But it's not going to impact what height
No,
is the final approval.
Correct.
It'll still be the 4,000 Kelvin.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. What is the foot candle difference between the 15 and the 21? We did provide that. By going to 15, and we can't meet the Hannaford uniformity requirements. They require 10-to-1 max to min ratio, a 4-to-1 average to min ratio. With the 15, it's 125-to-1 for the max min and 17-to-1 for average min. We show 25 fixtures for the 15. For the proposed variance, we're looking to knock that down to 15. We were also being able to eliminate some fixtures in the back as well. All fixtures, building mounted and parking lot poles will be dark sky certified, shielded downward. We're eliminating 3 poles and also talking with the client. The parking lot lights will be shut off at 11 o'clock minus possibly 1 or 2 near the building for their late night employees. Another question that came up, and I know Chuck's not here, but he was also going to go around town to check other locations. The poles at Town Hall facility are 20 feet high. We went also to Market 32. They are 30 feet high, and we also went to Walmart, and they're about 40 feet high. We included some pictures as well in those 3 locations.
Well, what did you say the town was?
20 feet. Another question came up about the CRI, that stands for Color Rendering Index. It's based on a 0 to 100 scale, which 100 being the very best for identifying color. This product is 80, which is classified as very good. We also provided the Hannaford minimum foot candle requirements that we were provided by them for parking lot, loading areas, entrances, average min ratio, 4-to-1 max to min, 4-to-1, and cutoff pattern required at property lines where we're showing the cutoff in all locations. The other question was regarding the 21 poles in the front and 15 elsewhere. Once again, the lighting plan would not meet the Hannaford lighting and uniformity ratios that they require for not only the average and min, maximum to minimum, and also for the large areas to have foot candle less than 1. Right now, our minimum with 15 was 0.2, and the minimum with the higher poles is up to 0.7. Couple of other items that I mentioned that we also discussed at the July 19th meeting was the dark sky friendly fixtures with the shields directed downward. We did also include a landscaping plan just to show that we have landscaping around the perimeter of the site. And also, I presented a cross section of the property since the project site is recessed from the neighboring neighborhood, both on the Lord Avenue side and on the west side. The top of the poles would be at 433. Lord Avenue is at elevation 423. So on a plain line of sight, you would see a 10-foot height difference. And on Otsego, elevations vary from 416 to 430. So you would see a 17-foot to 3-foot height difference. And those differences are pretty much in line with the town code of 15 based on a visual aspect. Just to bring you up to speed where we are, we're in front of the planning board. They have requested some additional counts and some other information on traffic that has been completed and submitted to them, I believe as of this morning from the traffic consultant. Also, we've been dealing with the town TDE, both Wayne and Dan from his office on stormwater. We had a very productive call with Dan last week. When Wayne was on vacation, went item by item through his list and provided an update based on those comments. And he was in favor of our responses and was going to relay that on to Wayne prior to this next meeting. One conversation that did come up was just the timing of ZBA meetings and planning board meetings. As you know, we need a secret determination from the planning board to come back to the ZBA to grants and then go back to the planning board to get site plan determination. The plan for the planning board is this Thursday, the 19th, to go through the seeker for that seeker determination. At that time, then the next planning board meetings are on the 1st and 16th of September, and the ZBA meets on it's after the 16th. I want to say it's the 20th, maybe.
Right.
I think it's the 19th, but I won't swear to it.
So that would put us back into October for site plan. So I would like to request, if possible, if the ZBA would be willing to hold a special meeting, either the week of the 30th prior to the second meeting, or the week of September 6th prior to the 16th meeting, just to be able to get a site plan determination from the planning board prior to the end of September.
Do any of the members have any comments or opinions on scheduling a special meeting?
I won't be here
I'm
last week of August.
I'm out, 27th through September 3rd.
And then the next week when he's proposing, that's Labor Day on Monday.
The 6th.
The 6th is Labor Day.
What day would your meeting be on that week? Would you shift it to a Tuesday instead of that Monday? I just picked
In September, our meeting would normally be the 20th.
or your meeting is the 20th,
The
okay.
20th.
You're proposing to have a joint meeting with the planning board on the 9th?
Or would just be us?
Or it would just be us?
Or it could be, because the planning board meets on the 16th,
13th?
Monday, the 13th is also prior to the 16th. So yeah, 30th, 6th, and 13th would all be possible Mondays to keep it on the same night as your regular scheduled meetings.
Can you make the 13th?
Yeah.
How's the 13th
Anything's
September?
good on me.
Okay.
It'll still be good day.
So that would be a date for a special meeting of the zoning board.
you say it was 13?
Yeah, 6 PM.
And so that would be for us to make the determination on the
On the
variance.
Variance, correct. So the procedure would be the planning board, as the lead agency, is looking to make their secret determination. And at that point, this board can move forward and decide the height variance. And then presuming this board acts favorably, then you would proceed to the planning board and then they can act on the site plan.
I don't believe, is there any other information that we would want from the applicant?
Questions?
Andy, could you kindly, it was referred to the height of the light poles in Walmart parking lot and Market 32 parking lot. Could you kindly just review a PPD and how the heights of that might be affected?
Sure. So both of those sites are PDD sites. And based on the project plans that were reviewed by the town board at the time, and as we sit here, I don't know what pole height specifically in those plans, but the way a PDD would work is the town board sets the zoning for that particular project through review of the proposed plans. And if the PDD is approved, those become, if you will, the rules, the zoning rules for the project. It could be for those sites that pole heights are included in the project plans, but as I say, I don't know that. But that's the distinction with those two sites. It's not general zoning. Those both were PDD sites, and as to town hall, in New York, they can, but municipalities are not obligated to follow the zoning rules. So when constructing this particular town hall, even though there's height limits on poles, town's not legally obligated to follow that, so.
That was more of just as a gauge. So when they go and see that, it can just for more of a
sure.
visualization.
And considering that these are pole heights that are in existence, particularly along the Hoosick Road corridor in town. Those are existing facts, if you will, existing background conditions on which to review the project.
I just think one of the comments that I have is, the Walmart is such an older project. You're talking about the project that's been here now for probably going on almost 30 years. That worked there when it opened, but, and the Market 32 is not too far behind. So I can understand even a retrofit at Walmart would probably require them to stay with what they have because of replacements of the stanchions and the concrete that it sits on and whatnot. I can get that, but if we've been looking at some of the newer projects, we've noticed that some of the poles are a lot lower. Cumberland Farms has them, a couple of the mini malls next to them have them. They're much smaller. So, in concert with this also being in a residential neighborhood, my concern is that Walmart really has no residences around it. It was also a plan that was so long ago. The lighting designs have changed since then. They've gotten much better over time, the LEDs and whatnot. So I just think that we need to have some careful consideration when we're talking about this being in close proximity to the neighborhoods on both sides, and considering where the direction of the lighting has been going. I mean, if the town has this in a newer zoning law, there's probably a reason for it. I wasn't part of the zoning board when they changed it, but maybe Andy could shed some light on that, or if there was a discussion on, in particular about pole heights, if they would have been changed. Andy, I don't know if you're familiar with that or not.
No, as I sit here, I don't have any recollection of anything particular about that issue. Subject to check, we can look at that issue, but as we sit here, I can't remember that was a particular issue and there was a particular reason to include it in the current zoning.
So the reason why I made note of it, so the applicant made note of it, and the reason why I then emphasized it, just to see the difference. So I was not on the board when Walmart was going through their process, but I was for Market 32. So the height of their poles didn't come before the zoning board. It was never something that the zoning board had any opinion on
PDD.
as a PD. Right, that's right. Their signs did. There was a lot of discussion about the signs, the site of the signs, probably the height of the signs, the way it was lit. So I just wanted to make that distinction that, because it was a PDD then, the zoning board did not have an opinion on the height of the poles as compared to now it
Right.
does in this proposed project.
Okay.
Yeah. That was my purpose for highlighting it. So if there's no other information at this time that we could request of the applicant, we noted that we are scheduling a special meeting. Yeah, of course. Yeah, great. So that could be something, right? Yeah, great. Because was that then communicated to the applicant that
Right,
you
so,
wanted that?
so Walt, did you receive the email from me saying that this board was looking for some kind of simulation? I know you've done the profiles and the heights and everything, but what it would look like?
No.
So I'm gonna hand you that. That was sent out, and I sent it also to the zoning board chair, who got a hold of me. And I did coordinate that with Wayne Bonesteel, the planning board review engineer. You've done the profiles, if you will, line of sight from those locations. If there's some way you could put the building in, just have like what it's gonna look like in terms of the pole heights between 15 and 21, I think that's what you were looking for.
Right. This is in substitute for actually going out on the site and floating a balloon, putting up something that is 15 feet high, that is 21 feet high. So if that can be done, like in a photo simulation.
Okay.
But
So
just
do
take
you actually
note-
want to see a balloon out there or what?
Well, I think we kind of got this idea from the cell tower and from when they were doing the reviews for the solar panels. So I think the point was to see from the Genesee Street neighborhood, the Lord Avenue neighborhood, what these will actually look like for the actual finished height.
Yeah.
Floating the balloon or something to that effect, so we actually know where they are. My concern with that is we have to make sure that we take into consideration the raise of the grade.
Right.
So
Yeah,
the
'cause the
current
building
grade that's there
is-
is going to be 9 feet higher,
6.
6 feet higher.
Yeah, so the building itself will be taller than the poles. Look at the back end, you won't really see the majority of the light. That'll be shielded from the building.
So do you
You could-
understand? Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I just want to make
Yeah,
sure that I'm clear on exactly what you'd like to see.
right. So we desire what would it look like from the neighborhoods, from Lord Avenue, from Oswego Avenue, looking at the proposed site.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so, it could be actually physically being there, or it could be a photo simulation. Does anybody have any comments on those two distinctions? Would you want to go out and see something flown or erected, installed, or seeing something on paper?
I think I'd rather see the photo simulation myself. If one balloon isn't going to be the same as seeing a bunch of lights.
Uh-huh.
15 light.
Or like at night, like being
Yeah.
in the neighborhood and looking over and seeing the lights. Yeah, a balloon's not gonna
Uh-huh.
do it.
Yeah, good points. Yeah. John, do you have anything to add?
And we have something on paper we can compare it to after they're done and say, that's not what you showed us.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. That's a good point too, John.
Yeah, I mean, I was at, and that, Pat and I were talking about Van Rensselaer Square where ShopRite is in North Greenbush. I'm sure we've been over to that plaza over there, fairly good sized plaza. They do have some wall sconces on the building over there, but they do also have the shorter 15-foot lights over there. And it seems adequately well lit, over there. So I don't know if Hannaford has any type of leeway on if this weren't to happen, on what they would do as an alternative plan. I was one that raised the question about the different heights of the poles. Maybe that would help that, at least in front of the building, to keep them from having to do the wall sconces, but also be further away from the perimeter of the neighborhoods where it was more centralized on the site. And that's where you saw the majority of the complaints. It's mostly all lighting.
Right, and I guess the question is, would would it look better with a dozen more fixtures at a smaller height or a dozen less fixtures at a higher height with the same
Right.
spillage
And if
being
I can-
contained on the site?
Right, if I can comment on that, I think the ZBA would, not simply day and night, so you can see the light and not just see the pole, but if you could show, here they are at 21 feet with the reduced number, and here's what it will look like at 15 feet with the greater number of poles to meet the lighting requirements for the facility. And I think that's important for you, because they could move forward and construct the project in compliance with the pole height limit. That can be done, but it's just greater number of poles, and that's simply a site plan issue. And it would eliminate the need for this board to act at all on a variance. So I think that kind of rendering, as it between a less total number of poles, but at a height of 21 versus a greater number of total poles at 15 to meet the lighting requirements, I think that'd be helpful for the board.
It would be
Yeah, that's a
helpful.
good
And
idea.
that's really, I think, the benefit of some kind of rendering. Because again, the board should consider that the project can be constructed compliant with the pole height.
Yeah.
And then, John, just to go back to your point, it was asked at our last meeting by Member Schmidt, what would the applicant do if the variance for the light poles is not granted? So you want to give your response, or I can read it. So it's, in the minutes, it says, state that the applicant would need to do further analysis on the site in order to get the necessary amount of lighting while balancing the impacts on the surrounding neighborhood. So that was the answer then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, because the biggest concern it all started with adequate light in the front of the building. The 15-foot poles just don't project enough to provide adequate light at the entrance.
Mhm. Right, because of the wall-mounted units, is that
The
why?
wall mounting units are only on the sides and the back.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a question you had also, because you had seen facilities like this,
Right.
retail facilities that have those light packs on the front of buildings, yeah.
But that could be an option.
I think they were saying Hannaford, but they kind of disapprove of that, the wall mounted sconces, correct? On
They
the
do,
front of the
yes. Yeah.
All right, well, if there's no other further information that we seek from you, we'll see you again at that special meeting.
Yep, and we'll have this to you prior to that, obviously.
Okay, yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night. So as I said earlier, the second item on the agenda, as it was posted on the town website, is for North Troy Solar Atlas, but that has been withdrawn from tonight's agenda. But I just want to thank the board members for all the questioning that they did to the applicant at our July meeting. I think we did a very thorough job trying to seek information. I appreciate the questions that you had. So we'll go now to new business. We'll begin at 113 Flower Road. We have an application before us seeking 3 area variances. One is a front setback where the allowed is 70 feet. What's being proposed is 37 feet. A side left setback, again, allowed 25 feet, being proposed is 12. And then the address does sound familiar. We have been here before. This case will be a secondary structure in front of a primary structure. And just to note in the application materials that this is A40 with an ag overlay. I confirmed that with Chuck tonight. There's a discrepancy on the front page of the application letter, I will say. I'm not sure what we'll call this, as composed to the application for the variance where it says it's an A40. So just to make that distinction, it's an R40. Pardon me, it's an A40 with the ag overlay. Did I confuse you there? You got that? Okay, good. So, Mr. Walk, welcome back. If you can kindly just give us a brief description of your proposed project, please.
I could put a 24 foot round pool off the, right off the deck of the boat. The house is facing the roadway because of the lay of the land. And looking forward, if I want to put a deck on, you guys are nice, but I really don't want to come back and ask for variance for a deck. So I'd like to have them both knocked out at the same time.
All right.
Now, we had another variance there recently, right?
That's right. It was for a shed on the right-hand
So
side.
it was, so the application should reflect that.
Yes.
It doesn't.
Okay, yep, let's make that change or
So it was
addition.
an accessory structure, no.
Was it a setback?
It was just a setback, is that what it was?
Right, it was so if you could kindly remind us, we don't have the benefit of
The
Chuck here. who
accessory
works with-
structure, the garage was gonna be closer to the front setback than the house?
Yes,
Okay.
and then we're past the front of the house is facing the roadway, yes. But it wasn't more than 12 feet high.
So was it also in front of the primary structure too? Was that,
Yes.
it was, okay, so it was,
It was
The
because you
setback?
had the wetland,
I'm sorry.
that was because you had the wetland issue?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, I remember.
Okay.
Actually, that rain, I saw water I haven't seen in places. So,
All of us did.
yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, so it was a accessory garage in front of the primary structure, and
That should be
It
happening
was-
soon.
it was also gonna be closer than the 75-foot setback
Yeah.
of the front property line.
and then- good pickup. Yes. So if I see the diagram that you've included in the application materials, so that round circle in the front is the proposed pool. Okay.
And your septic is that, the other drawing right next to it, right? The septic system?
Yes, yes.
Just to the north of the house?
15 feet from the
Yep.
corner of the house.
So as you remember, this is one of the elements that we go through into making the determination to grant the variance. We'll ask you if there's any other feasible way that you can complete this project without requesting the variance. Is there any other feasible way to
No,
do
because
this?
the way the land, it's, the house that faces the Grafton Mountains is almost like up on a hill.
Mhm.
And I'd have to bring in all kinds of fill to bring it up to a level. So I would have to put a fence around it because you need the 4 foot, and I'm putting in a 54 inch pool, 52 foot pool. So it'll be at least 4 foot above the ground.
Mhm.
But I'd have to bring in a lot of fill and retaining wall, and it's just not worth it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Walk right now? Otherwise, I would make the determination that this is a well put together application that will serve us fine for the scheduling of a public hearing at our September meeting. We decided that was September 20th. Is that correct? Yes, yeah.
What was the 16th?
So the 16th is a planning board meeting, if I.
20th
It's
is the
the,
third
September
Monday. 20th would be the
the
third
20th,
Monday,
I
September
believe.
20th.
So we're meeting on the
And we're not,
meeting on the 20th.
Right.
So the 20th at 6 PM. How does that sound?
I'd have to have the pool up by then, if possible.
Yeah, I
They
understand.
said
We would be able to do it on the
end of
13th.
September.
Uh-huh. That's a possibility. If we piggybacked this application onto the Hanford Lord Avenue application at the special meeting.
All right with me.
Setting a precedent beyond our control.
We just don't want to set a precedent of doing that very often now.
Right.
Does that make a difference, Andy?
We're meeting anyway.
Was it,
Well, sitting here talking about this, one option for you was simply reschedule your regular September meeting for the 13th,
Fascinating.
rather than having a back-to-back.
Interesting.
That could be an option for you
Mhm.
too. You'd
Yep.
still,
So that we don't have two meetings, because there's really, there's no need for us to have two meetings.
Right.
I would rather do that than to make an exception.
That's a good idea.
I mean, there's another reason why we're making an exception for Lord Ave, because of the timing for their project, but I would just prefer not to just be doing that.
That's a great option.
We need a motion on that?
yes,
Uh,
to change your regular meeting date for September from the 20th to the 13th.
I'll make a motion to change the regular meeting from the 20th to the 13th from month of September.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Patricia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Aye.
So we'll see you on September 13th.
Okay.
It's a Monday at 6 PM.
At 6 p.m. Thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I don't believe so. So is that okay that he said 6, even though we have?
No, we'll do the public hearings first.
Okay,
Hannaford will be last. on the
okay,
agenda.
fine. Very good. See you then. Yeah, if there- anything comes up, we'll communicate through Chuck to you, but I don't see why we would need to at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you have a great night.
Thank you, you too. All right. All right, John, can you sit for one more?
Sure.
All right. 11 Clemshore Avenue, we have a structure, Clemenshaw, sorry. Hi, welcome.
Thanks.
So this is in zoning district R9, requesting 4 variances. So that might be a modification that we can make, a correction that we can make to the front page. It says 3, it's 4. And the 4 would be a front setback, left side setback, a rear setback, and then a maximum percentage of lot occupancy. So if you could just kindly introduce yourself and give us a brief outline of the proposed project, please.
My name's Dave Davey. Living at 11 Clemenshaw for about 20 years.
Wait,
My-
say this. Could you spell your last name?
Davey, D-A-V-E-Y.
Yep.
I live in Clemenshaw for about the last 20 years with my fiance Joanne, who owns the property. I've been wanting to build a garage on the property for at least 20 years. We don't have a garage. Most of on our street, most people have a garage, either detached or attached. I'm looking to build a 3-car, a 30 by 36 with a 10 by 10 mudroom attached to the house. We are on a corner lot. That's why seeking several variances. The property is a double lot. I believe it's on the deed, it's 3 parcels, but it's considered a double lot, I believe. Was there something else?
No, thank you. I appreciate that overview. So I just want to point out to the zoning board members, there are 2 diagrams. One is very difficult to
Yeah,
to
sorry about
decipher.
that.
No, that's okay, but I have another one. Do you have this in your packet?
This
Yeah, it's here.
Chuck said he was handing in
This came with it. I don't know what it is.
No, I don't believe that's it. Yeah, that might.
This is Hoosick Street. I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
I saw that too.
I think it got slipped in there.
Yeah, we
Okay,
don't have it in our, I don't-
Well, I
okay,
know I submitted a bunch of pictures.
right.
Diagrams, what I wanted to do, and it is confusing because it is a corner lot. And Chuck did submit something like this that had all sorts of setbacks and measurements, and it was a little confusing. So he asked me to try to draw something. So Joe and I both tried to draw something that's in the pack that we submitted.
Yes, confusing. confusing. to me.
Right, right. So,
Yeah, because we got this,
it's
but
very,
that's what it looks like.
right,
Yeah,
I
it's,
think,
it's
and
kind of dark.
you can't see it at all.
right.
Well, then there were also,
Hand drawings.
Yeah, but
drawings.
I can't even read the writing of
well, Chuck did say it was a little hard to see. In my copies, it's kind of easier to see. I'm not sure why they came out so dark, but he said he was submitting a color copy, so it was easier to read.
Right, and we can get this out, before we meet again, we can get a better copy out to everyone. But because it's difficult to see, an option that, for the zoning board members, when we come out to view the site, that would make it more clear, would it be possible that you could put the pins in the corners of the proposed structure so we can,
It's there.
if they're up,
Yeah, we put what we wanted or proposing.
right?
We put stakes in the ground with
Okay.
ribbon around.
Terrific.
So it's a bright orange, so you can see where the lines are that we were talking about.
Okay, right.
Yep.
And leading into that, I'm glad that you put those there, that it's a visible sign of where the structure is going to go. Do you give permission for the zoning board members to come out to the site and to
sure.
look? Thanks, okay.
Yep.
Right.
The garage is gonna be one story,
Yes.
there'll be an upstairs in it.
Well, there's storage upstairs.
Does that count?
And it's not flat
The
roof.
the square footage, right? So we would
Yeah.
have to go with the square footage.
It's gonna have a floor in it?
The-
Ceiling in the garage with a floor that, like an attic would be, that we can store
Do we
things.
have
But
to,
it's not meant to be,
It would be an attic.
No,
I mean,
it's
It
not
wouldn't be a
limited.
second walk-through floor
Right.
necessarily.
Right.
So we just have like a truss design where you can walk through the middle.
because there has been confusion in the past about that, and people have built bigger than they were supposed to.
Mhm.
So the mudroom, when we're looking at the square footage that's being added on, do we add that also? I mean, that's only 10 by 10, so it's another 100.
Yeah, and the reason why we're doing that is because if we put the garage right up to the house, it'd be pretty close to the deck. So you would basically come down the stairs off the deck and be running into the garage. So we wanted to bump it out 10 feet so it wouldn't be right against the house.
Yeah. I mean, it still stays within the 1,500 feet requirement.
You're asking for the total footage of the
Right.
structure?
It still stays within that. Because the 30 by 36 is
1080,
1080.
Yep.
And then the 10 by 10 is 100.
Mhm.
yeah.
And then also to note in this application, there was a previous variance granted
Yep.
back in 1976 for the left-hand side,
Right hand.
right-hand
believe.
side. So we'll make that correction. It's the right-hand side.
If you were looking at the house, the right is, that's how we look at this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
As the previous owner, he added a couple bedrooms
Mhm.
on the right-hand side.
So, and that is why, right, it could be, so the maximum that is required is 20%.
Right.
The house is currently at 22,
Yep.
and with this proposed project, it would bring it up to 33.2.
I mean, from my perspective, there's plenty of space there where we're far, because we are on a corner,
Mhm.
there's plenty of space from the garage to the road on Rockwood.
Mhm.
There's plenty of distance from Clement Shaw to the side of the garage.
Yeah, so that would be really helpful information. What is plenty? Because on my drawing, that's kind of accurate in the sense that you can see it clearly. That's not articulated. That's not laid out, though I'm sure Chuck kind of wanted to do that, right?
Yeah, he was able to
Write it down, how much?
pull
it
that
is?
stuff up on his computer
Yeah.
with the measurements.
Right, we don't have that though, right, do we? We don't see that. What is the distance from the front to the front of the property to the front of the proposed structure?
I want to say, I think 60 feet.
Okay,
It's a 100 by 100 lot.
Oh.
60.
Is that fence in the back, is that your fence?
The white
Yeah.
or along the neighbor's property?
Well.
There's a white fence that you see?
I see a fence that goes along in the back on the left side and then across the back of the property.
Right. If you, in front of the pool, the neighbor's pool, you see a white line or fence? That's just a temporary fence that, we just put up for privacy. That's coming down. And then there's a fence line on that, from our side to the neighbor side. It looks like a line. You don't really see a fence. I'm not sure really what you're looking at.
I'm looking at Google Earth.
Oh, Google?
I was just trying to, because like in the area where you want to put the garage, it
Yep.
would be kind of like behind it. There's a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah, I have a garden there,
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
that's gonna be gone.
I was wondering what they were looking at.
so, right, so because we don't all have the benefit of Google Earth,
I couldn't figure out what you was talking
Yeah,
about.
I
I don't
think-
see none of that.
I think that we need some more information. It is a well put together application, though it is missing some information. So if perhaps we can work with Chuck or Mike, and I know, Chuck is out.
Did you get something like that?
I'm
Pretty sure I
Yeah, was
submitted
in the
that.
back. That was in
Right.
the,
So that has,
That has the dimensions
Measurements
there,
on there.
measurements, yeah, okay, so let's go,
32 feet to the fence.
so let's go through that then. So first of all, let's get an orientation.
Sure.
So we're all looking at this?
yep,
Okay,
yes.
so let's write, should we do this, or is this necessary that we do this here, or is this something that could be brought?
Well, the touchstone tonight is if you think there's adequate information to schedule a public hearing.
Yeah.
If someone from the neighborhood wanted to come in and take a look at the application, would they understand what's being proposed?
So the names of the streets aren't on these diagrams.
That's what the zoning board does, is go through the application to determine completeness. Because once complete, the public hearing can be scheduled, and then that everyone's notified that the application plans are on file at the town hall. You can come in and take a look. But if they're confusing, then the public hearing will be confusing. So the key is to make sure that the application is complete and understandable.
Right.
Well, I found the sketches to be confusing. I wasn't quite sure. Now, this one, it does have the street here, Rockwood. But
No, yes, if it's a corner lot, right? That's on the other one?
It is kind of a confusing process. This is my first time doing this.
Certainly, oh,
And,
of course, of course.
Chuck was really awesome at helping me through the paperwork of it, because this was way over my head.
Right, no, I understand, And for the purposes that Mr. Gilchrist laid out, that's kind of just why we're going through it. Unless, we make this, it's scheduled for a public hearing pending more detailed drawings. Where the information that we're missing would be the measurements and would be more accurately labeled rendering. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts
Well,
about?
I mean, this one is pretty much the same as the other one. It just, this says Rockwood up on the top. It's labeled a little differently, but it's pretty much the same.
Mhm.
But it has Rockwood. And I was told to use this kind of paper to try to use it as each square's
A gauge, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
gauge, okay.
right.
But it's pretty much the same thing, but it does have the word Rockwood.
Mhm.
So I didn't write Clemenshaw on the other side. So it goes Rockwood, it's this here,
Yeah.
it's on a corner.
Right.
So this is Clemenshaw, and that's Rockwood, and then you have Miller.
But this last one, that's.
If you went there, there's not a street sign up saying Rockwood. I don't know where that went, but that's the name of the road. I did talk to my neighbors. They were in favor for it. Nobody had any issue.
All right. So I'll make the claim that this is complete for the purpose of holding a public hearing at our September meeting. Would anyone disagree with me? No. All right. So very good. Well, thank you very much.
So
We'll meet you here again at our next meeting of the zoning board on the 16th.
13.
13th, pardon me, the 13th. It's a Monday.
Yep.
And we'll be on for 6:15. So
Okay.
At that time, it'll be a public hearing, so
Mhm.
notices will go out to the people in your neighborhood,
right,
about 300 feet from the proposed project,
okay,
notifying them of this plan, and they'll be able to have the opportunity to speak for or against the application.
Mhm.
And then after that, the zoning board members will deliberate, will evaluate some elements. That was, you can see them, they were laid out in the application. And then with the comments made by the public, the discussion that's done during the conversation about the elements, the planning board will then make a determination to grant the variances, deny the variances, or grant with conditions.
What was September 8th you mentioned?
No, I'm sorry, 13th. I
Right.
misspoke. I said
September 13th.
13th.
Right,
It's
I thought there was something about September 8th.
it's a Monday at 6:15.
If somebody does speak out and has an issue, do I get to reply to that?
Uh,
Or I don't get to say anything? How does that work?
No, certainly. You would have the opportunity to talk about the issue that the neighbor had brought up.
Okay. All right, great.
Right, in general, the board will hear public comments
Mhm.
and then generally not just request, but require the applicant to respond to those
Oh,
comments.
great.
So, yeah, you'll have.
All right, perfect. Great.
Yeah, good.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
And if you have any questions, just continue to work with the building department.
You've
And
been great.
okay, good. Glad
Thanks.
to hear it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So up we have KFC for some sign variances. We have a representative applicant. Hello. I'm well. How are you tonight?
Thank you.
Thanks. We're happy you're here.
Happy to be here.
Great.
My name is Ken Shaw. I'm with KBP, the owner of the KFC. And we're here for our signs.
All right, great. If you just want to kind of go over, we have some information. So if you want to just go over the proposed project and
Sure.
take it from there. Thank you.
I think everybody's pretty much familiar with the overall development, the pad that we're on with the development there. And, excuse me, we understand that basically all the signs are coming towards a variance anyway, with the exception, I think, of the front building sign. So that's kind of why we're here. So in looking at I'll start with the site first. We are on a larger development with the Planet Fitness, also the proposed Wendy's, the shopping, grocery store in the rear, and we're to the left side and back with the Planet Fitness. So we are actually own our properties. That's why our application is a little different. We're a separate lot and block. We own our property. And we do have actually two frontages, Hillcrest and Hoosick along the front. or not, yeah.
Yep.
Right. So from a visibility standpoint, we really feel it's important to get some sort of a monument sign on our corner for visibility. We're not looking for any enormous structure, just basically for the passing traffic to see the visibility. I believe the sign is on a 36-inch or 38-inch platform with a 3-foot sign, a monument sign with brick at the bottom. So we're not looking to draw people from 6 miles away. It's essentially a corner location for people who can identify us, because we do sit further back also. We have not too much visibility because we're being blocked by the Planet Fitness, but from the other side. So we would like to have a monument sign at the corner of our property. And in the packet that I gave you is the illustration. There's a site plan, and also in the packet, there's a actual detail of the monument that we are proposing. If you want to take a look at that.
I don't think the site plan was included in
There
the
we-
packet that we.
Right.
I'm sorry?
We're missing that site plan.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Page 5 of 7. Is it in your packets, page 5 of 7?
No, I don't believe it is.
Oh,
We get pages 8 to 17, it looks like, that's it.
Where are yours numbered?
Right.
Oh, okay, thank you.
so you have every page but the site plan page.
So every page starting at page 8.
Okay.
It's numbered down here.
Or it's got,
like letter C up here.
I don't know why that was.
Yeah, that's linked to the spreadsheet.
Oh.
Okay, well,
Right, yeah, so again, Mike, is there any way they can make a copy perhaps of that from the applicant?
I can make one right
All
now.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, that'd be helpful. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
Do you want the other 7 pages, or are you missing 7 pages?
We'll start out with page 8.
Starts with page 8.
Okay, let's go.
We don't know what we're missing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, application, let's give you 7, 8. So set 1 through 7 you're missing?
Correct.
I don't know what's on them though.
Yeah, if it's necessary for signs, would it be, would it refer to the signs?
Yeah, that's the only one that's the freestanding sign, so we might as well get them all in because it'd be important.
Right, so
Send you twice.
like that, we do have page 8, page 9.
Okay. So here's
10.
6.
Okay, I think yeah, let's take it.
Yeah, 3, 4, let me just get you 5.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I didn't know if maybe that because signs A and B are on the front, so they're allowed. I didn't know if maybe that's what I did. So,
Choose not needed.
I think that'd be helpful to
yeah.
what he's gonna do.
Choose not
Are they
needed.
allowed the monument sign?
My recollection is that parcel,
Here you go. And that's it.
are, the pad site that KFC is building, was that divided off and is a separate parcel?
Yes,
And does that parcel itself have frontage on
yes,
Hoosick?
yes. We have frontage on Hoosick and frontage on
I mean, if
Hillcrest.
it's a separate parcel, you're entitled to a monument sign.
But in Chuck's information, he said that you need to have 150 feet. It was in the email he sent us with it. We're supposed to have 150 feet of road frontage and we have 120. So,
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting because you really, from a perception standpoint, you really have all of Hoosick for the development. And I think there's 130 to parcel, but then if you take Hillcrest, which is also a frontage, you have, you add them two together, you have quite a bit. So the combination, and I know the center itself, which is independent of us, will have their own building coming in for their own signage.
Correct.
So that's why it's a little bit,
Well, that is ultimately Chuck's interpretation, so we'll see what.
Okay, it says
So one of the variances is because they don't have the 150 feet.
monument sign, because a monument sign is not allowed if you have under 150 feet of frontage. They are at 120 feet frontage.
And that 120, is that on Hoosick Road or is that, and is adding in the frontage on Hillcrest?
He doesn't say.
Yeah,
Well, there's only frontage on one street.
Right, there's only frontage on one street.
No, I think the applicant is saying they have frontage both on Hoosick and Hillcrest, because it's.
because our lot is
corner.
both corners. We actually have two frontages, but we're not we're not
If you have
calling our.
150 feet on Hillcrest, you can put it on Hillcrest.
Well, for the sake of when we discuss like side
Thanks,
setbacks and stuff, Andy, is this the same example where you're talking about commercial that has frontage on a corner lot versus when we do like, the last one we just talked about for Clement Shaw and Rockwood, it's a corner lot, so there's a side setback, which is actually maybe, being a corner lot, there's differences because of the setbacks, because of the corner. Is this the same thing where frontage can be calculated off either side? Or do we have to say, okay, frontage is always Hoosick Street?
Oh, no. Corner lots are deemed to have two fronts.
Two fronts. Okay.
That's why the two front setback requirements apply. So corner lot will have two fronts.
Some people actually look for two signs on two fronts. We always want the
Yes.
small monument, we're not,
So if you have two fronts, that's your frontage. But that can be reviewed by the building
The
department.
building department,
Yeah.
because, you need to know, like,
I'd
you
like to
add them
discuss that
together
with
to.
Chuck. Right.
yeah, he spoke to us on the phone. We're well aware it's a variance because of what you just stated, the required linear feet versus what we have. And that's why we're here for the variance. If we didn't have that, I don't think it would be a variance. Because I think we'd be legally be able to have a sign, which we're
Because you said you
proposing.
need 9 variances,
Yeah,
7
but
are for the frontage.
I'm taking them one at a time, but if
Right.
the road sign is here because we don't have enough linear feet. So that's what constituted the variance for that. That's why we're making that
So
request.
for our sake, the frontage would be the Hoosick Street side because you only have the 120.
Yes.
or is that an interpretation that we need to clarify with Chuck?
I'd like to review that, Chuck.
Mhm.
And I hadn't the opportunity to talk to him about it, but how we arrived at his calculation of frontage.
Okay, and you will do that? Okay, thank you.
So,
So let's move on then, I
yeah,
guess, from
so,
that.
so now that we have the site plan, I can kind of walk you through it with questions on it, because that's really that's the first freestanding sign in the front. And if you go to the detail now that you should have, see what page it is, you can actually see the sign that we're proposing. So that would handle the description and the monument sign. Just have it in front of me. Okay, that would be on sheet 17 of 17.
Are we looking at this? Or no? Yes,
Come on.
okay, yes,
Yes, so that's the sign that we're talking about, the monument,
okay, right.
okay?
Where should we go?
Is this building actually going to be striped? Is this
Pardon me?
Is the building actually going to be striped?
I think so.
Yes,
Got this. Right, so this is red. Could you kindly hold up the main copy, please? Thank you, appreciate it. There you go.
that's sheet 3.
3.
4 and 3 and 4 are the front elevations, side elevations, and rear.
Right. And then for our benefit, could you, and to Andy's question, could you kindly also hold up page number 6 of 17, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
That's the panel sign that's shown on the front of page 4, front elevation.
So just to kind of catch up a little bit, before we move off the monument sign, because we're going to wait that clarification from the building department,
Sure.
on how they calculated the frontage. Are there any other variances that are needed for the monument sign? If we can ask that of Chuck too, or it's just for the frontage, please? Thank you.
Let's see what he said in this little. This attachment. It's 57.5 square feet. So all he put was that the parcel does not have 150 foot frontage. So,
I assume that's just the Hoosick Street.
All right.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
That's just gonna be the Hoosick Street frontage.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So the question is, because they're on a corner lot, do you add the
At
frontage that they have?
the
to
side road, yeah,
request?
yeah, that would, I
Right.
figured that's what you were.
Right. So I guess we can move on then from the monument sign to the other variances that you're requesting.
Sure. So I'm going to keep the building signs for last. So in the rear of the property, off of your site plan number 5 of 17, there's 3 elements that will be considered signage to the board. And number 1 would be the menu board, which the drive-through customers would come through. We're putting that down as requested to show as a sign. It's an important component, obviously, of our building. And that is shown on sheet, should be 11, 12. Sheet number 13. It's the typical menu board as you're coming around the thing. It's a freestanding menu board for ordering.
Okay, great. Thanks for your input.
Okay,
Really helpful. See you next
Yeah.
month.
And then the other sign, the other 2 elements that were there that we're showing is a clearance sign. And that is a bar with 9-foot clearance that protects the building from box trucks or whatever going around. And the third one is a canopy that goes over the menu board.
Real quick, pardon
sorry.
me. No, that's okay. The menu, so, right, so the menu bar, is that page 11 of 17?
Page 11, yes, is the bar.
Is
We
the
call
menu
that
bar.
clearance bar.
A clearance bar, pardon.
Yes.
Yep, clearance bar.
And then on sheet 12 of 17 is a canopy that goes over the menu board. So when customers come around and order at the menu board, the elements of the weather are not raining on their head while they're doing that.
Okay.
So that's the 3 site components that, although are not signage, they're part of your signage interpretation. So them 3, along with the front, are the actual freestanding signages that we are requesting a variance because they're required.
So real quick, could you go back to page 12, the order point canopy?
Yes.
Right, so what is being showed, the logo, that's on one side or is that on both sides?
That's on one side. When the customer pulls up, it's
Right.
the logo in the front there. The black thing is the speaker, and that's where they order into.
Okay, got it. And that is after the menu board and
Well-
through the drive-in?
It's actually, if you drive in, you order to this canopy,
Right,
it's there. Before it is the overhang. And then on the angle to where you're sitting is the menu board.
okay.
They're all within they kind of work together.
Right, so from that site, you're parked there, you can see both
Yeah.
the menu board and the
Yeah,
order
the,
book.
the high bar sign prevents high trucks from going through,
Right,
and then the canopy order.
Yep.
And then while you're sitting, you're looking at the three-part menu board where the product is on there, so you can order right from there.
okay. And I'm sure it's on this diagram here, I just didn't look. Okay,
Yes, F, H, and G.
okay, thank you.
Okay. And then the next two sheets that we'll be talking about is sheet 3 of 4 and 4 of, I'm sorry, 3 of 17 and 4 of 17. And that essentially describes the building. So if you start with 4 of 17, it's a little easier to explain. The rear of the property has 0 signage at all, obviously. And the front, which would probably our most visible as far as KFC identification, that would have our front panel with the picture of the Colonel. It also would have the KFC letters. And we also added in, not sure that it would be a part of the variances, we have 2 red awnings to the right and left. We've shown them on there. We all show details of that too. So I wasn't sure whether awnings are part of your sign application.
Right, they're not. I spoke to Chuck in
Okay,
regards to
we
this.
showed them. It's better to
Sure.
show them.
Yep,
it's not.
absolutely, right. He didn't feel like they were part.
So
Okay.
he did though, when he sent us this spreadsheet,
Uh-huh,
he included them
yeah,
as part of the overall footage.
okay,
Sign
that's interesting.
footage.
Yeah,
Because he actually puts on here that the awnings, there's 6 awnings, and then then he has 1 awning that's, and he put on here that they're approved, but they're added in, they're non-advertising. So
Right.
they don't need a variance, but they are included in the overall signage.
interesting.
Yeah,
This is
it's,
the
yeah,
spreadsheet
I know the
that
sign contractor and him were working together on what to show
Mhm.
and what to not. So
Because that was.
we did show them all.
Right. Oh, and I appreciate all the information.
Nothing's going to be left out.
Right.
We'll have to clarify that.
I think so, right. Maybe that- So,
Okay, so that's the front and rear. And again, the KFC and the logo, sheet 7 and 6 show details of those 2 signs for dimension purposes for your review.
so on page 4, that you said is detailed on page 7, so there are 2 signs on the front elevation. Is
That's
that
correct. It's the KFC lettering, which is on sheet 7 of 17,
Yep,
which is that. And then the panel, which shows the Colonel's face with original recipe, which is in the middle there,
Mhm.
is shown on sheet 6 of 17.
okay.
And of course, the rear of the property has 0.
Right.
Okay. And then next for review would be the left side and right side elevations if you're looking at the building. So the left side elevation would be the drive-through window elevation. Again, it shows the awning towards the front there. It's the red off of the window in the front, which the details are in here. And then there's a canopy over the drive-through window. That detail is also in your package. That is shown on sheet 14 of 17. On the left side elevation, which is shown on sheet 3, which is the bottom elevation, the canopy over the window that illustrates Real Meals to Go
Mhm.
That is shown on the left side elevation. And that's for that side. And then the upper elevation on sheet 3 of 17, which would be the non-drive-through side. That has a detail number 1 on top. It has the 3 awnings again, same dimensions and illustrations. It has 2 signs on that side. And again, we consider them signs, but also a little more clarity. It's more of our architectural elements as part of the building. It doesn't tell the customer that it's just part of our architectural element. It's world famous chicken, and that's shown on sheet 8 of 17 detail. And then the sign in the middle where it says "Made the Hard Way," that's sheet 10 of 17. And that is there. I do apologize. I left one sign out on the other side, on the drive-through side. There's a stenciled logo to the right of the window. I apologize. Sheet 3 of 17. Is a stenciled logo showed on page 9 of 17, which says "Made the Hard Way, made by hand." That circle.
That's on the right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I skipped over it. On the drive-through
Oh, right
window
there.
side where I
Oh.
shaded the canopy, that's circular. That's a stencil onto the building, and it's the detail of it and dimensions are on page 9 of 17. And that rounds out all the signs, stencils, monument signs and information. The awnings again are on 15 and 16. There's all details of the awnings. I didn't refer that to you, but 15 and 16 are the details of the awnings.
So do you have any KFCs in this area that has this exact signage?
I could get you the locations. There's about 7 or 8 of them now in upstate New York.
Well, I mean, in this,
Yeah, no, we're gonna be in this area. We got about 7 of them scheduled in the next year in this end of New York State. The rest right now are from Syracuse to Buffalo. I could get you some really good real-life pictures of the building if you'd like that to show you. We have some really, or video if you like, or, I can walk around and take it.
Okay. couple of
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
That's easy. We have so many of them.
because this is just a lot.
And again, you could do that through the building department. And
Yeah.
distribute the information to us. Mhm.
Yeah, we have video. People are always asking for different. Nowadays, you can get so many nice features, but the pictures that we have are real. I'll give you real life, blown up all 4 sides, and it's exactly like this. This is our brand building. This is so we don't like deviate from like add more, take away more. So everything we have here, we'd be showing you in an illustration.
So do you are there any of the KFCs that are here locally, like the one up in Malta, or that has any of this new logo on it? Because the one up in Malta is actually in a building that is with Taco Bell.
That's our combined Taco Bell. We have a lot of buildings that, of course, Taco Bell is part of Yums. So I'm a franchisee, so I don't have any in this area that are new. We're all building new ones or remodeling. But I can find out from neighboring areas of franchisees, because if they were building this, they'd be building this. So it really doesn't matter who owns it. If there was one locally, I'll get that information for you.
So kind of just to clarify what we're looking at.
Sure.
So the zoning allows for 2 signs. And what's being proposed is 7, 8. Is that correct? 8, so eight signs are being proposed.
Well,
Two,
there's actually, I think, I don't know how Chuck figured this out. For variances,
right.
okay. Because he included the awnings, so I don't know.
At this point, I'm gonna not include the awnings. We'll just stick with the signs and we'll get that clarification from Chuck. My understanding, there are no words on the awnings. They're red awnings.
Because he said 7 variances for signage not on storefront. So 7, because the 2 on the storefront are
Allowed. Okay.
And then 1 variance for the monument sign.
Okay.
And then he said the 9th variance will be because the sign total goes over the maximum, but we need to clarify that because he included the awnings
Right, and the square footage.
in the square
Right.
footage.
So we're looking at the number of signs, we're looking at the square footage of signs, and then the height of the monument sign, is that within the required?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, if you look, I'm not sure what, I mean, you go at Cumberland Farms and them are all like 16 feet. We're what, 7.5 feet?
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
So we
I think-
don't need a variance for the
No,
size of the monument
No, nor do we
size?
need that, we're just basically need visibility to people driving, so we're not gonna ask for something that we don't need.
Mhm. So in your industry, what's the purpose of a sign?
There's 2 purposes of the sign. The main purpose in our industry is, believe it or not, pedestrian safety.
Mhm.
In our industry, we are finding, and again, a lot will object to this, but we're an impulse business.
Mhm.
That COVID kind of threw that off a little bit, but most people who are traveling make a decision to come to us, no more than 45 to 50 seconds when they get there, because along here, they can blow by us and go to, Wendy's or Taco Bell, et cetera. So, visibility impulse is important to make that thought, like, I'm hungry, it's lunchtime, I got this much time. They'll also look at the drive-through lane parking when they're in. So identification, in this case, identification is extremely important because we're going to be kind of in the back area. On our one side, we have the Cumberland Farms, which we're going to be tucked behind, and the other side, we have the Planet Fitness, so we can't change that element. We realize that. So the monument sign would support us for that, for customer identification. Of course, people who live here know where to get there, so we're not going to argue that. Also, in our business, believe it or not, we are a little different than Taco Bell, McDonald's, Wendy's, et cetera. And that's why you don't have KFCs as close to each other. We are, again, a destination business where people will travel farther because of the bucket and the meals. So a lot of people will order from, 15 minutes away and come because they're going to take it back to a family gathering, whether our meals and our tickets are much larger. The building signage in this case is really important in the front because of also visibility once you're within the center. And then the rest of the signage that I know respectfully the board looks at signage, our designers, our people who look at our building and our brand, things like that. It's kind of like, it's hard to describe as an engineer like myself because I'm not a marketing person or a sign person. It's the identity of the building, and everybody has their identity and their logos and it's sayings. I mean, you're not going to drive into a KFC because it says hot, fresh, you know what I mean? Or serve fast or whatever the logos are saying. The Colonel is clearly a sign. There's no doubt about it. It's a trademark that everybody identifies with. KFC is a trademark that everybody identifies with. The rest of the accessory signs along the building are architectural elements to complement the look of the building because that's what people identify to when you're using the building as your brand.
Mhm.
So that's a short version of what I hear all the time from our marketing department, et cetera.
Sure, right. So from your end of the industry, which sign do you think is the most important sign?
The monument sign.
Uh-huh.
Without a doubt, that's the most important. And the second most important would be the the KFC sign on the front element of the building.
Yep.
Because all the traffic flow of coming down from here to there, you would probably, if you're gonna be in when that grocery store is eventually opened, or people from Planet Fitness, they're gonna come in and identify with the building frontage when they're driving through or coming out.
Mhm.
People driving from the other end up, and some from there are gonna identify with the monument sign. And the nice thing is that they miss Hillcrest, because we have an entrance on Hillcrest, they're gonna go to the, which is soon to be a signalized intersection, they're just gonna come into there. And then coming down, if they miss the light, they can come down and make a left into Hillcrest.
Right.
So the placement of the sign is very helpful for us.
Mhm.
Wendy's is gonna be right out there in the front, there's no blocked invisibility,
Right.
and they're gonna be part of the overall center, but they have a fortunate thing, they have 0 blockages on each side.
So traveling east on Hoosick Road, it will not be the drive-through side. Is that correct? So if,
The drive-through side is right up against the Planet Fitness.
Mhm.
So if you walk out the doors of Planet Fitness, that's the drive-through lane.
So you're correct, the drive-through is on
Yeah,
the
west.
west side.
side.
West side,
Okay.
thank you.
Could we get, the best plot plan we have here is on page 5, and it doesn't show the road, it doesn't show Wendy's, Planet Fitness. Could we
Yeah.
get an overall picture of the whole
Sure. absolutely.
project, so I know where this sits
Yeah,
in
and you know,
relation?
Chuck's reviewing our building applications now. So I guess we talk on the phone with him, assuming that because every time we talk, he has more than you guys talk. Because we're for permitting too. So we're all, pretty much, this is our last thing.
Yeah.
So he has all that. So it's kind of hard to blow up, but I can get
No, no,
anybody
what-
anything.
What I would suggest
Yep.
is, we do have an approved site plan, so
Yeah,
Chuck should get the approved site plan.
it does help you guys to see
It-
the
it-
overall.
I mean, this picture is helpful, but it'd be better if I knew where Wendy's was and where Planet Fitness was.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it, but it was, a while ago, and I'd like to have it in front of me while I
Yeah, I
consider
think
this.
Chuck's a little too helpful because he gets on the phone with you and he's really working with you to help you. And he doesn't understand, I think, when I came here I thought that everybody, but it's all good. I mean, but I can get you anything
Sure.
you want, as could he. So I just want to make sure we disclosed everything for your decision making.
Sure, thank you.
Do you want me to include that on deliveries for the September 13th? For all
Yeah,
you guys?
I'd like to be able to see it.
Please, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's in your possession, actually, the approved site plan.
Yeah, I'll make copies.
Yeah, that makes it a little stranger too, is because you're talking about an overall site plan approval that includes us, but yet the sign application is just us.
Right,
So that's kind of another thing that's, where they'll be coming in for the overall site and sign, which will include KFC, but I don't include them in mine because we're a separate
Right.
certainly.
property. That became a little confusing even for us.
But the importance of the sign makes a difference on where you are in relation to the building. I mean, you're standing here and explaining it, but it'd be easier if I could look at the diagram and see it too,
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I had to do the same thing.
Probably, okay.
All right, so we're gonna ask Chuck for some clarification on the signage amount, whether or not he's including the awnings, the overall square footage of the signs. The applicant's gonna provide a photo of other KFCs that look like this. You requested the site plan, right?
And Chuck's gonna, I guess, we'll get just clarification that on the monument sign, the frontage. You said it's only Hoosick Street, right?
Yeah, they're only including the Hoosick Street frontage that
So we just need to make sure that it's just
Right,
that piece,
right.
because it does have two frontage.
So Andy, you're going to be speaking to Chuck anyway. Do you want to bring these concerns to him, or would you like me to bring these to Chuck? Or,
This is an important one. Here's what I suggest.
okay,
We're going to set up a call where you and I both talk to Chuck.
okay, fine. Mhm.
We'll do that.
Very good. Is there any other information at this time that we request of the applicant?
Not at this time, no.
All right. Good. So thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you for
Appreciate-
being patient, and thank you for printing us.
Good. Glad that worked out.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. You're very welcome. Have a good night. So if there's no other new business to discuss, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Make it. Patricia seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Meeting closed.
Then we'll set up a call.